Hey, wifey. So I'm getting ready to go to the shop today. I had finally got out of working at the shop with my husband and got to be home for like 6 months because my back and hips were in excruciating pain because we found out that I have hip dysplasia and scoliosis. And so that put me literally on my feet, not able to stand for long periods of time or do the physical activity of tinting windows and doing paint protection with my husband in the business that we've owned together since we were teenagers. So I recently put a video out called Why My Marriage Has Been Toxic and How We're Going to Fix It. And prior to that, I made a really spunky video in my Velma costume, comparing physics to my concept on how to stop arguments. So people see my little cute bubbly videos and my hair and my makeup and my outfits, and they think that my marriage is just peaches and cream and oh, how innocent, and how old is she and who is she to talk about marriage. I've been married 26 years and my marriage has been extremely toxic. My husband and I got married at 16. We're both 42 now, and I wrote a book called Growing into a Mature Marriage from Kindergarten to College, just comparing school to marriage. I was working in an elementary school, and I realized in a kindergarten classroom one day, just watching the kids argue over things, and this is mine, and then other kids, in the corner sucking their thumb, the other kids sitting right up front paying attention, and seeing the dynamic, what was revealed to me about those children's lives and what their home life is like, what kind of affirmation and love and support they get, how their parents talk to them, because all that's revealed, in the way the kids act in school. Anyway, I walked away from that classroom thinking, my marriage is like kindergarten. The next day, I was in a 5th grade classroom. Ugh, 5th graders, right? One day they want to be grown, the next day they're big babies, just hormones and all kind of social and emotional and spiritual warfare going on with that age. And I was like, my marriage is like 5th grade. Gave me this idea. So that's the book that I wrote, and comparing the different maturity levels and the different areas of your marriage to the different maturity levels of kids growing up through school. So today I am going to the shop, and I wish that last week I would have followed my own advice on the observation theory. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you have to go back and watch that video where I'm comparing a physics principle called the observation theory to my marriage by recording every time I think we're about to start arguing. Because when you're being observed, you will filter yourself better, and you will be able to go back and watch how that argument went. So now you can't argue about the argument. You can't now turn this argument into what was said and what wasn't said versus talking about the original topic that you were trying to work through in the first place. That has been one of the most frustrating dynamics of my relationship since the beginning. And I want to encourage some of you, because a lot of you who follow me are married maybe 10 years, maybe 12, maybe 15, maybe 5 or 6, and you're like, I am so done with this dude. I am ready to get divorced. I'm so tired. We argue all the time. Girl, 26 years. 28 if you count the 2 years we were dating. If I can do it, little old me, with not probably that much more patience than you, if I can do it and figure out different strategies and ways to just control myself and my emotions so that I don't have to be a divorced woman. Now, if you're in an abusive relationship, you're getting physically abused, all that, then by all means, please free yourself. But my situation is that we are just two broken people like everyone else, both firstborn know-it-alls, right? Birth order is real. I'm a firstborn to my father and my mother, and my husband is a firstborn to his father. So imagine two people at 16 raised by single parents, both firstborns, now getting married. That's how much arguing and petty stuff we be doing. So when I wrote the book 5 years ago, it was really a cathartic expression of the pain and the frustration of what my life had been. I'm not one of those people that got comfortable in it. that was like, arguing is just the way, and even though I say I don't like it, I'm kind of attracted to it because that's all I know. Because that is some of your story. Some of you are so used to trauma and pain and fighting that you complain about it, but really you wouldn't know what to do with yourself if you actually stopped arguing. That's not me. I have been in agony for years, just being like, man, can we please have peace? And so a lot of the strategies that I've come up with and that I put in the book were a direct result of me trying to find peace. One of the first things that I discovered is if I just don't argue when the argument starts, because I can see that's where he's taking it, if I just be quiet, I've literally sat and watched him argue with himself because I wouldn't play into what was happening. And that was an amazing, empowering revelation, because what happened was he would sit there and literally argue with himself, which was the funniest thing to observe and so empowering to me. Like, oh, I didn't have to get wrapped up in this. And then an hour later, 2 hours later, he would come back and apologize and be like, man, I said a whole lot. And I'm realizing now that you didn't say anything for me to even hold over your head. You were completely quiet the whole time. In all of that, we raised a son. And he is 25 now, and he's been married 28 years. And we did a really good job in coming together as young parents. Our son was, we were 16 and 17 when our son was born. And something that we did say is, all of our flaws, all of our baggage, all the things that we are aware of that we like and didn't like about the way we were raised, let's sit down and talk about that and put those things together, and then figure out what it's going to take and how we're going to have to do things differently to create a more well-rounded, happy, confident person. And if you guys know our son, he is all of those things. He's really amazing. So our strategy worked, but we continued to bicker and be petty and have these dumb arguments for years and years and years and years and years. Inspiring me to vent and then share it with you, because this is a big problem that I know so many of you face, that you're just tired of butting heads with your spouse and you just want peace. You just want a partnership, a friendship. We just recently, now we'll be celebrating 26 years here in March. And we just recently came to this understanding as we're putting our recent tiffs together and finding a pattern, is that we both don't want to be told what to do. So that's a firstborn thing, right? Because the firstborn ones tell the other ones what to do. You become like the surrogate mother or father of the siblings, and you help, I don't want to say you help raise them, because that can offend some parents. Like, you're not raising those kids, I raised those kids. You were just the big sister. Just be a big sister. You know what I mean? Baggage, drama, anyway. But, firstborns, you know what I mean, right? You have to babysit, or you have to cook when you don't want to cook because you're the in-between before mom and dad get home from work or whatever. And a lot of us build baggage around that. And then some of us, I know people that literally have 9, 10 kids, and their oldest kids still want to grow up and have kids. And that's because the parents gave a different energy to that role. They were like, this is fun. This is the role of an older sibling. This is a blessing that you have these other people in your life that you get to grow up with and hopefully keep as friends for your whole life, So the dynamic doesn't have to equal that if you're a firstborn, you end up bitter about taking care of people and, blah, blah, blah. But that's who I was in the beginning of our marriage. I was like, I'm not cooking for him. I clean because I really like a clean, orderly house, but I got to clean up after him. If I cleaned all day, come home, do homework, because we're in high school, get ready for tests, taking care of the baby. When he gets home, least he could do is not talk crap about the food because he didn't have enough sugar in a sugar rice. That's a specific example. He ended up going to jail, and we never had that argument again. And I thought that was going to end all arguments because he went to jail. There was no actual physical violence toward each other, but there was some stuff getting thrown around that apartment. He was trying to set a precedent that he was crazier than I was. And so he had to go way over the top. And I went over the top when I initiated the argument, when he started complaining about my food. And, I used to say, oh, we were 16, so that only makes sense that we were that immature. But then I talked to you guys, and you guys are 40, 50, 60. Having the exact same encounter. So I don't really buy into it's the age. It's more so just the maturity level, your experiences, your baggage, who you are, what you've been through. I say all that to say that today, when I go to the shop, I am going to keep my phone really close. And if it starts to get heated, I'm gonna start videoing. I'm gonna do what I suggested you guys do and see how that changes the energy. I come in peace, but my husband is very like high energy. And so even if he's excited or happy or not feeling negative energy, it can come across as really negative just because it's so elevated, right? And then elevation from a masculine energy for a girl that was raised in a single mother home with only sisters is a whole nother layer of like, ah! Right? Because I didn't have brothers in the house or a man in the house for me to even understand what is happening. Like, I just want you to calm down. Can you lower your octave, just a little bit? So hopefully this video, you're over there shaking your head like, yeah, I feel you. It's good to know that I'm not alone, because this marriage stuff is really, really hard. So the compromise we have made for me to pursue, my creativity and continue to write, make videos for you guys, is that I work with him at the shop now 3 days a week, giving rest to my hips and my back, and just doing other like more secretary type things. And the other 3 days a week, I get to work on continuing to build, my writing platform and finish the novel that I'm almost done writing. I'm so excited about it. And continue to promote growing into a mature marriage and talk about marriage for you guys that really need a person to lean on. Maybe therapy or counseling hasn't worked for you. Maybe your husband or your wife is refusing to go to therapy with you. I truly feel in this day and age of social media, you can find good things that will pour into you and literally help you change your life, just by finding the right people on that little screen you're holding in your hand. I have definitely found that in every area, from financial literacy to marriage to watching church from home when I can't get up, to be on my feet because I'm swollen and in so much pain. Yeah, so observation effect. Use your phone to record as soon as you think it's getting heated, or as soon as you think it's just a normal conversation, but that it's going to be misquoted later and cause you some frustration. You can save those conversations. This may seem petty, but if you are tired of arguing and you've been arguing for years and years and years, and it's almost every day that you're arguing and you're desperate, you'll do it. You'll do it. You'll be like, let me pull the tape. The idea came to me because we have video recording 24/7 at our shop, and we had a disagreement where I felt like he was handling me the wrong way. He was yelling at me. He was being really impatient and snappy, which has always been my complaint my whole marriage, is that I just want him to have more patience and calm down, just talk to me about it. Like, let's just conversate, but calm down, So I have him on tape yelling, and we both had, our opinions on what happened, and he was explaining why he was justified in yelling, and I was like, oh yeah, I could see that. I was actually on the other side of the wall inside of a car, so you definitely needed to raise your voice in that instance. But then when you yelled the second time, you didn't know that I wasn't in the car anymore, so I took it like you're yelling at me because I'm just so damaged and have so much baggage from all the years that you were intentionally yelling at me, that it just, it triggered me. But having that video to go back and watch what happened and then talk about it was revolutionary. So that is going to be like just foundational, that I'm going to talk to you guys about over and over again, is pulling out your phone and recording when you have conversations. And it doesn't have to be a negative conversation. It could be plans for your future. It could be, this is what we said we're going to do with this situation. To have it on tape and to write things down really makes a difference. And writing things down and speaking things out loud are biblical principles that is mentioned in scripture multiple times. As you're aware, on the positive side, when you have plans for your life and you actually write them down, now you have something to be held accountable to, and it becomes more real because you wrote it down and now it's a plan. And the same thing goes for fixing your marriage and doing like a therapy. That you don't need to pay a therapist, because you just start using these principles on your own and figuring some things out, finding patterns in your arguments. There's an app called Minutes that you can download. You can use the free version, and it'll listen to your whole conversation. It's an audio recorder, and then it will turn it into a transcription and a summary of what the theme of was the conversation. It'll turn into an outline with actual headlines and then subpoints under each headline. It is amazing. So download Minutes, and you can use that to also become your own marriage counselor / therapist / coach, whatever you want to call it. I am hyping myself up in a positive way to be grateful and appreciative for the business we own and the progress God has brought us through in our marriage. To go to this shop today and deal with my man, who is very easily excitable and who is just different than the way I was raised and what seemed like peace to me growing up. So that is also a good conversation we've had, that just growing up in different households where one is loud and rowdy and one is quiet and calm and demure, that every time he does something that's like above a level 6, I'm like, and being able to strengthen myself to not be so sensitive, and find a boundary line of, okay, I was on this side of the boundary where I'm just being too sensitive, or you were on this side of my boundary where you are doing way too much. And to circle back to a point that I think I bunny trailed off of, is that we have realized most recently that we want to stop telling each other what to do. And this might sound really immature and ineffective and counterproductive to what you think a healthy marriage is. But every marriage is a little different. Every couple, each person has had their different baggage, their different backgrounds of what they've gone through. And for us right now in this season, we know we are going to find more peace by him not telling me how he thinks I should be running my platform or whatever, or how to brush my teeth, for effective cavity prevention. Like, literally get out of my head. Let's just be friends as husband and wives, be there to support each other, have conversation that doesn't involve me telling you how I think you need to run your life, and vice versa. This is very controversial, especially in the religious or Christian circles, where we have been berated as wives that we are number 2 because we came from Adam's rib and he was created first, and so you need to be this subservient, quiet, on and on and on. The quiet part, that has worked for me. That has worked for me, but not to the extent where you're damaging yourself because you're being so quiet that you're not able to communicate what's hurting you or what your concerns are. So there's a balance, and I get into that. It's called the Collins method. It has a part A and a part B in my book, Growing into a Mature Marriage from Kindergarten to College. And it is not about the silent treatment where you're being passive aggressive, but it's definitely about finding peace in silence and finding your power in your silence to find some control over yourself and allow that other person to see when they're just being an ass. Because they literally might argue with themselves for 10 minutes and you're like, well, this is crazy. And then they're like, this is crazy. I need to change this. I am so grateful, and I want you guys at the end of this video to just write down 10 things you're grateful for, or say it, or record yourself, right? The observer effect, record yourself talking about all of the things that you are grateful for in your life and in your marriage. I am so grateful that despite all of these things that sound so negative and overwhelming, that I've led a really good life, very positive life with a very supportive and encouraging husband who's only wanted the best for me. And as a result of that relationship and our constant communication about what we think we need to improve on and how we can change and how we can grow, we were able to create an offspring that is nothing like those bad parts of us. Him and his wife do not do the petty daily arguments. They just don't. And they're so cute and so happy and so at peace. And now we have 2 beautiful grandsons who are going to learn from their example with the support of grandmommy and grandpa in the background. And it's just creating the foundation of the generational wealth that we are pursuing, physically, mentally, spiritually, and financially. Usually I'm subconscious when I make a video that's longer than a certain amount of minutes, because that's my husband, make it shorter. People aren't gonna pay attention. Everyone has a short attention span. But this is obviously a long form video for YouTube, and maybe I'll be able to cut some little sections out and make some some short reels or some shorts out of it. But the idea is, the main point of me sharing all of this is it helps me a lot to connect with all of you women out there that are like, oh my gosh, why is marriage so hard? I'm so tired. I'm just so tired, and I'm tired of crying. That you're not alone, and that there's always a way, there's always an answer, there's always strategies, and it's only hard because of who we are, and our flaws are being mirrored in the person that we're with. Trust me, girl, it is not all him. You were attracted to him in the first place because those traits that are driving you crazy in him are in you in some shape or form, and you guys are just mirroring and playing off of each other. And until you realize that and really level up, really graduate to the next grade, and then the next grade, and the next grade, will you open the space or open the door for your husband to now start looking at himself and stop focusing on you, so that he can now level up, because you leveling up is going to call him to the stage. It is going to shine the light on his internal flaws, his damaged inner little boy, and it is not your role, wifey. It is not your role to point out his damaged inner little boy, even though, especially the longer you've been with him, you're going to see what those patterns are and be able to pinpoint what is damaged about his inner child and that trauma from his childhood that is carried into your marriage. You speaking to that inner little boy is only going to get you more of what? More little boy and more frustration. You need to speak to who you want him to be. You need to speak to the adult in him, the maturity in him. Speak to the king in him. We serve Yeshua in our household. That's Jesus' name in Hebrew. And the Bible says that he is the King of kings and the Lord of lords. So that makes us in the earth kings and queens and lords. And a lord is an owner, someone who has followed that commandment in Genesis to take dominion over their territory, over their calling, whether it's physical earth, which is also a really smart thing to do, to own some land. Speak to the king and the Lord in your husband so that he will level up to that. And when you focus on that, it's going to make him only want to draw nigh unto his kingship and lordship. A little King James speak for you, a little Shakespeare. And fun fact for those of you who didn't know, the reason King James is so hard to read is because if you didn't major in Shakespeare theater, it's written in Old English because Shakespeare had a lot to do with the translation of that King James Bible. I believe King James and Shakespeare were good friends. That's another video for another day on understanding your Bible better and connecting it back to the original language it was written in, to find the power in it and to see yourself in the stories and the scriptures so that you truly can embody that you are a queen in the earth. And you married him because you saw the king in him. And now that you are with him, living day to day, paying bills, going through the things, raising stepchildren and the children you've had together, you're seeing more of what you don't want to see. But see the king, speak to the king, and that's what you will get more of. Pray for me today as I go to this shop to work alongside my king, that we will be mature and respectful and loving and quiet when words aren't necessary, so that I have nothing to report beside praise. At the end of this day, don't isolate yourself by thinking that your marriage is the hardest one, or that other wives have it so easy, or that this lady, Delyce Collins, making all this content must have just had such a peaceful marriage, and now she out here trying to tell me how to have a peaceful marriage. Don't get it twisted. Okay, wifey, here I go. Pray for me, and I will pray for you, that you have a great day, that you do not argue today, because you are in control of yourself. You are not in control of the man you married, nor do you want to be, because controlling another person is called manipulation. Manipulating yourself is called self-control. Yeah, better get to work. First argument will be, why are you late? Pray for me. I'll pray for you. Marriage is an art. Be creative with it. Think outside the box. It's a game. Play, have fun, keep it light, and you will survive. And then you will start to thrive. See you guys on the next video.